Okay, so welcome. And so now today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about decimal equivalents as it relates to what we've been talking about regarding measurement numbers. Okay, so when we're talking about precision or accuracy, we're talking about calculating numbers, multiplying, adding, subtracting, division. What happens when we have to deal with equivalent decimals, or when does that come up? Well, it comes up usually because in trades they're usually dealing with fractions, right? When you talk about 32nds and 16ths and eighths and quarters and things like that. But when you're looking at blueprints and you look at specifications, those are usually given as a decimal equivalent. So how do you go between the two? Well, that's what we're going to do. So let's do an example. So I'll show you how to handle these. So here's a question you might come across. It says, in this drawing, so they give a drawing and it's decimal equivalents. So let's see what the drawing is. So let's say this is some sort of bracket or some sort of piece that's going to be, let's say, punched out or something. Okay, and it's got these measurements, and it says okay, and it gives us these measurements, right? So now this symbol here with the two apostrophes, if you want the two tick marks here, means inches. Okay, if there's only one tick mark, then that's feet, just so you know. So now let's say we're looking at a blueprint, we're looking at a draft, and it gives us these specifications here, and we want to take these specifications, and we want to find the fraction to the nearest 32nd of an inch for the first one, 0.462. Okay, let's do that first. Okay, let's take this and we want to write this to the nearest 32nds of an inch. So how do we do that? Well, using what we know about equivalent fractions and equivalent decimals that we learned already. So we're going to do 0.462, right? And we want to change this into something that involves a fraction with 30 seconds. Well, we're going to multiply this by 1. Okay, if we multiply this by 1, we'll do it. And you're thinking, by 1? Well, I'm not talking about 1. I'm talking about a form of 1. Well, we need to have 30 seconds, right? We need something that's a fraction with 30 seconds in the denominator, right? We need well, what's a form of 1 that will give that to us? Well, we can multiply by 32 divided by 32. That'll do it. So then, we just multiply across the top and the bottom, and that's going to give us what? Well, use your calculator, and you get 14.784 over 30 seconds of an inch. So that is the equivalent fraction, but we want to round this to the nearest 32nd, right? Because this is not going to help us if I'm out in the field and I've got to measure something using 30 seconds, right? That's useless for me. So I'm going to round to the nearest 32nd. Well, that means I'm going to round this to the nearest whole number at the top. So that means I'm going to round this to the nearest to 15, right? So that means this is going to be approximately 15 32nds of an inch. Okay, now that we've done that, then they ask, find the error involved in using the fraction number instead of the decimal number. Right? Because we had the round, right? So what's the error? Well, it's going to be the difference between the actual measurement, the actual calculation, and the rounded one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the actual measurement, the true measurement, minus the rounded measurement. Okay? So, or actually 15 minus this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take the 15 and I'm going to subtract the 14.789. Why? Because I want to find the difference between these two. That's the error. That's what we call absolute error, right? So I want the actual difference between the two measurements. And then what I'm going to do is divide that by 32. So the error is I'm off by what? 0.784. Oh, no, sorry. 0.216 over 32, right? Because if I take 15 and subtract off 14.784, it leaves me 0.216 over 32, which then, if I put that in my calculator, gives me 0.00675. of an inch. And of course I'm going to round it, right? Because I'm going to round it to 0.67, or 0.68 rather. Point 0.0068 inches rounded. And so that's the error that's involved. So the error involved in using 15/32 of an inch instead of 0.462 inches is about 68/10,000ths of an inch. Okay, now, in problems usually like this, we round to the nearest 10,000th. Okay, just keep that in mind. But that's it. Have a great day.